This podcast contains paid advertisements, but more on that later. Welcome to the O'Connor Bootstrap podcast, where I discuss how you can grow your business by the bootstraps. This applies to everyone with an entrepreneurial spirit. That includes bootstrappers just starting out, established business owners, and business leaders. My goal is to help you grow both personally and professionally. I'm your host, Isaiah O'Connor. Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. Audible.com, the world's largest repository of audio books and other audio information. And I say audio information, not just music, because you're not going to find a lot of music, but you will find books, college lectures, dramatized miniature plays, Audible originals, tons of different types of audio content. Spoken audio content, I think, would be the best way to describe it. So not music, but spoken audio content, and of course, primarily books, and lots of them. And as I say repeatedly, if you're a busy entrepreneur, having a book, an audio book that you can listen to is amazing, especially if you're like me. You have a 3, nearly 4-year-old and a 7-year-old and a company, and you're running a podcast, and you're trying to find extra income as well, and keep the house clean for your wife, and yeah, it helps to have audiobooks. Now, the book I'm recommending today is the classic, quote, self-help / business book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. It is an amazing book, and the hardest part of the book is implementing its lessons. It has some wonderful lessons, some great lessons to become more effective at your own personal growth, which will affect your business growth. And if you can incorporate it with your employees as well, it's even better. And of course, you can help the channel out and get your free copy by trying the free trial over at audible.com/bootstrap. That's audible.com/bootstrap, and that is with a capital B. And with that link, you can do a 30-day free trial, after which it's $14.95. You get 1 free audio book. You get 2 Audible originals that you keep forever. Plus, you get access to their entire library of books to listen to that you don't keep, but you can listen to the entire time. Books, podcasts, etc. So it's amazing. Go check it out. Audible.com/bootstrap. Now, that book that I was talking about, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, the first time I read that was back 22 years ago or so. I don't know, a long time ago. When I did what they called at the time, the Phase 2 School of Leadership. And what it was it's a Christian leadership training course. The course is a 3-month-long course in primarily Christian leadership, but leadership in general. Things like public speaking, research, leading small groups, how to deal with conflict, finding out how personality types work. That's where I first took some personality tests, etc. It was part of our training to learn these good habits to be highly effective, which was a great program. Now, eventually, after this program, I went ahead and I joined the staff of this missionary organization with Youth with Mission. It was in Denver, Colorado. And one of the main leaders there that taught in my schools, and then I eventually worked with a lot with our youth program, had a favorite saying, which was, flexibility is the key to success. He said this all the time. And when we were working with him, running the youth camp portion, or the youth ministry portion, it was very, very much well needed. Useful. For example, one day As part of the program we had for the youth, we had a play that started indoors and then went outdoors. And of course, this one week, it was pouring rain. And so we had to come up with ways to get umbrellas, make tents, etc., to set up set it up so they could go outside and watch the rest of this play. It was a very important part of the training. And of course, we had to do this without letting the kids know because it was a surprise. They did not know it was coming. So we made that work out. And all the time we had to change things and come up with new things. For example, one day, I can't remember exactly why, but we were missing the gravy ingredient packet. I think we had some ready-made gravy ingredients for biscuits and gravy. And we forgot to buy the gravy mix. So, fortunately, leaders there knew how to make biscuit gravy or sausage gravy and whipped up a giant batch, managed to be able to scale it up enough to feed everyone, and everyone loved it. The thing was, this camp was located pretty far up in the mountains, and I can't remember exactly, but it was about a half an hour to a 45-minute drive to the nearest grocery store. And so we didn't have time to leave and just go buy the ingredients. So we had to be flexible and make it work. So, yeah, flexibility is a very important key to success. And of course, when this guy said flexibility is the key to success, we would often tease him and come back with flexibility is a key to success, not the key to success. When we said this is he had picked flexibility from a list of keys to success. Now I've looked and now I cannot find that list. I can't remember what else was on that list because all he talked about was flexibility. He mentioned the other ones once or twice and then never mentioned them again. But he did have a pretty good point, which is one of the major keys to success is indeed the ability to be flexible. And that's not just in life, that's in business and life everywhere. It's very useful to be able to be flexible and move. Now, that's one of the advantages of a small business, of a startup, is the smaller your business is, the easier it is to be flexible, the easier it is to move and work with what life throws at you. Easier to do than with a giant company because the bigger the company goes, of course, we all want to expand to a certain point, but the larger the company is, the harder it is to shift and move and be flexible with what hits you. It's easier when you're a small business. So that's encouraging. But it goes beyond just market and things that hit you like COVID or who knows what happens. You need to be flexible. But there's something to be able to come up with something in a pinch. To have a plan, to plan for crisis. I've talked about this before. Have a plan to be able to deal with the unknown, as I've said before. That's part of it. And also just being able to look around and try to come up with ways to solve problems that are out of the box. You have to be flexible, you have to do things because you never know what life throws at you. And of course, I'm work with balloons and sometimes you forget a tool, you forget a part, you don't have all the balloons you need, or something goes wrong and you have to fix it pretty quickly. And I just had this happen to me this weekend, the last couple of days. I had a client who wanted a balloon arch. I asked him what colors. He didn't answer. He answered on Wednesday, "Oh, I need red and white." No problem, those are fairly common colors. Problem was, I was completely out of white and I only had a little bit of red. So, talked to the client, got there okay. I had to drive an hour away, one way, to go buy the white balloons, but that supply that supplier had no more red balloons. So I had a problem. I only had about 50, 60 balloons. Now, this balloon arch was around 200 balloons, I think I used. Just under 200 balloons. So 50 balloons in red was not going to work. And normally I would need 100 balloons in red. And of course, it's always better to have more than you need by quite a bit because balloons do pop, things can happen. Example, in my early days of the business, I made a breast cancer awareness ribbon out of balloons. I went to go mount it. I heard a sound that sounded kind of like Velcro ripping, but not quite. And I looked behind it and it had popped about 30 to 40 balloons had popped immediately. Why? Because it was a hard lesson to learn. What I didn't see is as I went to mount it, I didn't see the cactus that was in a pot sitting in the dark shadows of the corner, and I slammed the balloon decoration into a cactus. Yes, that was a pain in the butt, but I still think it was kind of funny. Yeah, I know. And I learned to be careful about looking around before I hang balloon decorations up. That was quite the lesson. Oh, and that was before I had my machine and I had only a hand pump. So I had to hand inflate 30 or 40 balloons very quickly as I was getting to the end of the clients opening up things. So, anyway. So, of course, with balloons, you need more than you need. Normally, I need 2 white balloons and 2 red balloons for each, what we call them, a quad of balloons that you put on the pole on the arch. So I had a problem. I needed red and white, but I could not get enough red. So I talked to a client and said, hey, can I just do a single red line spiraling through the design? I said, oh, sure, that's fine. And so if you go to the website, I'm going to use this picture for the page, and it's a single red stripe that runs through, had plenty of red balloons for that single design. Had to make a design change that I've never done before. And the customer was happy, I was happy, and still looked great. And I had to be flexible because there's no way I could drive to the next place I could possibly get a balloon, which was, I think, 3.5 hours away one way. So no way I was going to do that. So that's what I mean by being flexible. You have to be able to alter and change and move with what comes at you. And you never know what that looks like. Being flexible with moving with working with the customer, being flexible with a vendor, being flexible with somebody that you're working with, like a supplier or of whatever resource, like trading your goods and service for the goods and service. I've done that before. That's a way to be flexible. So there's lots of ways to be flexible, and it's so important to be flexible in your business and in your life. This may seem fairly obvious, but it wasn't something that I thought about too much until Mark drilled it into our heads. It was his mantra, or just about. Flexibility is the key to success, and he said it so often, and it made us so aware of it. And what it kind of did with us repeating this all the time and thinking about it all the time was whenever something cropped up, whenever something out of the ordinary popped up, and we had to be flexible, we were ready for it, and so we were just flexible. We didn't get worried, we didn't get stressed. Usually, the rain was a little bit scary, but by and large, when the life threw us curveballs when we were working together, because we already had the mindset of we can be flexible and we are flexible, we were ready to tackle the challenge. And I think that's kind of the key point here. It's not just the ability to find a way to make things work. It's the ability to look at problems and challenges and go, I'm flexible. I can work around it, and not stress about it. Because if you're willing and able to be flexible and find other ways than your original plan to do something, it removes stress. And if you're not stressing, you can think better. And if you can think better, it can help you find the way to fix your problem and be flexible because you're not stressed about it. It's really an interesting way to do it. And that lesson has stuck with me the rest of my life, even when I don't think about it too much now. When something comes up, especially in balloon business, especially now that I'm just one guy, I have challenges that pop up all the time, and I have to find a way around not having tools, not having balloons, the customer not telling me the right color, whatever. And I don't stress about it. I just go, okay, I can make this work. Customer says, hey, can you do this and this and this? Sure, I can make it work. Why do I say that? Because I know I'm flexible, and because I've made being flexible a lifestyle. It immediately translates into being able to provide a great product for the customer every time, because I'm used to bending and flexing with the challenges that come. So, just saying, flexibility is a key to success. It's a big key to success. Not the only one, but a key to success. And yeah, it's a short one today. I am very tired. I did get up this morning at 4:45 a.m. and I had to drive and be on the job site at 7 o'clock in the morning. That's part of being flexible, having to get up in the morning. And so I'm keeping this one short, guys. Sorry about that. You guys have a great day. Have a great weekend. Talk to you later. Bye-bye. If you found value in this content, please leave a comment and give us a 5-star rating on whichever podcast platform you use. We're on Apple Podcast, Spotify, Google, and most other podcast platforms. If you would like to support us, you can check out our sponsor links, or if you'd like to support us directly, you can donate or join our membership program at buymeacoffee.com/bootstrap. Of course, it really helps when you share these podcasts with your friends as well. If you'd like to interact with me and other bootstrappers and leaders, you can join us over at our O'Connor Bootstrap Podcast Facebook group. You have been listening to the O'Connor Bootstrap Podcast, an Atheoz Business Solutions podcast. For a companion podcast, the Atheoz Business Podcast, which is hosted by Jason St. Clair, past episodes and related blogs, please check out our website at www.atheoz.com, which is at www.atheoz.com or theoz.com. Until next time, I have been your friendly neighborhood entrepreneur, Isaiah O'Connor.